Okay, so here we are. I was doing a bunch of things with these Tikkas. You'll see a lot of parts on the table in this video. And then, when you take something apart, it occurs to you, wow, there's actually a lot to observe that you don't think about when the gun's together. I thought I should make a video quickly just showing you the differences between the Tikka T3, the Tikka Model 55, and the Tikka Model 65. And the differences are a lot more significant than even I thought. Even though I had taken them apart, I never had everything on the table at one time. So we'll start with the actions. This is the Tikka T3, and you can see it's a fairly simple action. The opening for the magazine, easy to understand, and for loading and unloading, it's fairly small. I would say it's too small. They've made it bigger on the latest model, which I think they've given a new X or something like that anyway. I guess I should have looked that up. The barrels I think are fine. The T3 is known to shoot well. This is the Tikka Model 65, and you can see this is an easy access, loading and unloading, no problem there. And magazine fits in here. There's a proper floor plate, which really isn't a floor plate, I should call it bottom metal. And this is the 55, so Tikka Model 65, and then this would be this is actually a 300 Winchester Magnum, but it could also be for 30-06, 270. It's the long action. And then this is the smaller action for 308. This one's 22-250. And you can see there's a lot of meat in these actions. They're properly made. They're all steel. The trigger is steel. Actually, I took a magnet to everything, and I couldn't find anything that wasn't steel except for these Weaver bases, which has nothing to do with Tikka. This barrel, by the way, is from a Tikka T3. This was 300 Winchester Magnum, but I bought it used, and the bore was not the best. And then somebody was doing a project or something, so a brand new Tikka T3 barrel was available, so I bought that barrel and just spun it on here. This is the Recoil Lug. That's the Recoil Lug. On the 55, the Recoil Lug sits in this cradle, and I didn't want to confuse everybody with all these parts all over, but all these parts here belong to the 55, so you have a very heavy, strong trigger guard. This is that bottom metal I was telling you about. This is the magazine for the 55. You can see it's asymmetrical, that it's set a little bit off, this magazine. That's to facilitate feeding. These are spacers that sit in the stock, and then the whole thing is retained by two screws, two from the bottom and one from the top. I think that there's a video that I made that concludes this is one of the best actions of all time, and I reconfirmed that when I took these apart today. The 65 is the same, except it's scaled up. And here are the bolts. This is the 55 bolt, and this is the 65 bolt. So you can see dimensionally greater because of the longer action. And then here's the Tikka T3 bolt, and this bolt handle slides out. You can see it's kind of they slid it in here. I actually changed this bolt handle. I don't remember why. This is sort of some kind of tactical thing. I had an idea. Anyway, it's not one piece, and it's retained. I forget how, but it was very easy. I think I just needed an Allen key. Other than that, it's a typical 2-lug bolt. And then the 65 and the 55 are one piece. This will never break off, and well, you can just have a look. It's probably easier to see what's what. There are some extra lugs back here, then have me talk. And this Tikka T3 only comes in one size. What they do is they sort of change things to fit the smaller cartridges. The one size fits all gun theory, which the shoe manufacturers abandoned ages ago. But anyway, this is the Tikka T3 magazine, and this one is in 223, so I'm not sure if the camera can pick up here, but this part of the magazine is useless. They kind of put a magazine inside of a magazine to get the 223 to work, and this is plastic, and the whole thing is held together by 2 screws. And you'll notice that there is no recoil lug, there's a recoil groove, and I showed you this before on a different video, and that groove fits over this piece of aluminum which is in this stock. And you'll notice that when I isolate the Tikka parts, this is the Tikka that you're buying. This is the whole gun. There is no floor plate or bottom metal or anything else. This plastic is part of the stock. It looks like a sub-assembly that they somehow fit in there, probably pressure fit or glued, or I suppose it's possible that it's one piece. I can't really tell, and it doesn't matter. But does the T3 work and shoot? Well, they've sold trainloads full of these guns, but I just wanted to show you that there are dramatic differences. And in terms of durability, who knows? Time will tell. But if you look at the 55, the 65, I should probably just quickly show you the stocks. There really is no comparison between these rifles and this. This is an assembly of parts that happens to comprise a rifle when you put them all together. Apparently the trigger is good too. We've got different materials in there. I think the trigger itself is aluminum, but I haven't seen any broken off. On a funny footnote, I did see a young guy make a stock for a T3, and some of the younger guys are really enthusiastic, which is great. He made a stock, but he didn't realize there's no recoil lug on the action, so he bedded this into the stock beautifully. But his stock, which was walnut, did not include this block in the wood. So the gun was held by the action was retained by 2 screws. Now, fortunately, that was noticed, and the gun was never fired without a recoil lug, but if it had been, probably it would have split around the screws because there's nothing to prevent the action from moving backwards in the stock. Anyway, that was kind of an interesting footnote, and that doesn't mean anything bad about Tikka, because that's the custom maker who would have to notice those things. But there's your Tikka T3, and here's the 22-250 stock. It's properly bedded, some kind of checkering. Finish is worn because it's not a new gun, which is fine. I guess if it has to be perfect, one can refinish. Just a regular butt plate. And then on the 65, they put some kind of basket weave checkering. Somebody glass bedded it, which is no big deal. And then the recoil pad. I mean, this isn't the softest material on earth, but it works. And I don't know how old these are, 30 years old. But I'd far rather have the 55 or the 65 than the T3, even if the T3 does shoot. So I thought that's worth showing my audience. And like I said, I forget what these cost, but looking at these parts and what's involved, I don't think the cost should be too high. These things, now that takes some kind of doing to make all these components. Even just the magazine is kind of a work of art in steel and very strong. Now they do different things with these plastic ones, and like drive over them with different vehicles to show how strong they are. But I mean, I don't drive over my magazines with vehicles usually, so I don't know. Anyway, all excellent rifles in their own way, but the 55 and the 65 are definitely in a class of their own. And I hope that's useful for you to see and know. And thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.